What is gap funding and do you cover it? So let's talk a little bit about this. Gap funding is the difference between what you can get from your lender and what may be required to make the deal happen. So let's give an example. Let's say you're purchasing a property for $100,000. And let's say the rehab is $20,000. We're just using really simple numbers here. And let's say the closing costs, title fees, that type of stuff, title and closing fees is another $10,000. So let's just say this total is $130,000. This is what we're going to call the all-in or total cost to make the job happen. Includes all costs, right? Everything that's in there. So if you were able to get a lender to give you $130,000, that would be 100% financing, or even a little bit more since the purchase price is $100,000. However, for us to do that, it would have to be at 74% of the after repaired value. So meaning we would take that 130 divided by 0.74. So the after repaired value would need to be somewhere around 175,000 of an after repaired value for that to work out. So let's say that the after repaired value comes in at 165,000. The appraisal comes back, it's not as high, the values just aren't there. And so as a lender, we're saying, okay, well, with that appraisal, the after repaired value coming at 165 times 0.74, we can lend 122,000. But you need $130,000 to get the deal done, okay? So there's a difference of $8,000. $8,000 is what would be considered the gap. It's the gap between what you can get and what you need to make a specific deal actually happen. That is called the gap. Now, we don't directly offer gap financing. We do offer up to 100% financing as long as it's 74%, which makes that gap really small or non-existent. We do have some solutions for you if there is this gap, and let's talk about a few of those. One of the ways you can do that is you can get external financing. What is this? This could be a business partner, a friend, a family member that you borrow some money from. There's a bunch of different ways. This could come from your IRA, your 401k. This could come off your own line of credit on your house, your equity line. There's a bunch of different ways that you could use to get that gap. Second way we're going to talk about here is credit card financing. You could go and get a credit card, and you could either take cash advance off it, which is a higher premium, or you could use something called Plastiq, where you can actually charge it and then they would wire the money to the title company, and then you'd have monthly payments on this amount until the deal was done, and then you could pay off the credit card. American Express has probably helped more businesses get started and survive than anyone else. So that's a way to do it. The other way is an unsecured seller carryback. Now, this is really important. It's unsecured, not secured, meaning you would sign a promissory note with a seller. So you'd say, hey, seller, I promise to pay you. Promise to pay. And that's the same as what we're talking about. A credit card is an unsecured instrument as well. I promise to pay you the $8,000. I'll pay you that $8,000 when I resell the property in 6 months or something like that. So that's another way that you can do this. Another way, and I alluded to this just a little bit, but you can get a business partner. And a business partner could be debt or could be equity. The difference between those two things are debt means you owe them the money no matter what. So you're saying, partner, I'll owe you the $8,000, whether this deal goes good, bad, or otherwise, I'll be responsible. I'll pay you. I'm responsible for that. The other thing that happens is you can say, hey, partner, why don't you bring in $8,000 and I will give you a percentage of the equity. However, I'm not going to be personally liable for this money if everything goes bad. You'll get your percentage. So you'll get $8,000 and then we'll give you 20% of the profits when it's all said and done or something like that. That's negotiated, right? How much that is. And so the idea is he gets a higher reward because he takes a little bit higher risk on the project itself. So that's debt versus equity as we're dealing with a business partner. So those are some ways that you can actually do this to get that gap funded without getting a direct gap funding. So you've got to make sure it's a good deal with good values and good comps so that it's a make sense deal all around.